Hello everyone, Constitutionalist Libertarian here. And today in this video we're going to be taking a look at an article from Vice that was published on the 29th. I know it's the 6th by this time this will get published, but I just wanted to show how desperate Vice is getting to push the whole racism bullshit. This was written by Sarah Hagi, and I hate to break it to her, but if she went to journalism school, she should be asking for her money back, because if they didn't teach her that using profanity, especially in the title of an article, is unprofessional, she wasted her money. I mean, that right there, unless she just doesn't give a shit about proper procedure or whatever you want to call it for journalism, which I don't consider myself a journalist. So profanity, fuck yeah, whatever. Her, on the other hand, she's writing for a professional organization. Shouldn't be there. It sucks to have to worry about being stereotyped when you just want to have a nice time at a restaurant. Well, wait a minute. Why are you worrying about it? You just go into the damn restaurant, order your fucking food, have a good evening with the people you're with, enjoy their company, and don't give a shit about anyone else but who's there. Boom, problem solved. Easy, simple. Oh wait, then you wouldn't be able to write this bullshit article. In the third episode of Louis C.K. Show Louis, a show that's been out for a while, and you're using this as your fucking inspiration years later for an article. Sarah? Bitch, that goes to show how desperate you are. You're using a work of fucking fiction as your example to lead off from years ago. So, alright, so Louis here, he asks a waitress at a comedy club about her night. I have 2 tables of black people, she tells him. I'm working for free tonight. After asking her if she was seriously being that racist, she tells him she's been waiting tables for 5 years and has not once gotten a tip from a black person, and that it's not racist, just a fact. Now, if that's the case, that in 5 years she's never had blacks tip her, then it is a fact. So, okay, you're using this example, and I'm going by the fact it probably is true under the premise of this, to justify your shit, and it actually doesn't. Incredulous at how racist she is, he tells her black colleague what she said. Are you nuts? The black waitress responds. Niggas don't tip. Everyone knows that. And while I don't believe everyone knows that as a universal truth, plenty of people certainly believe it to be true. I love how you're trying to take a stereotype of blacks not tipping well, Hispanics not tipping well, basically anyone who is not white, Indians not tipping well. So you have all these different groups you're trying to put together here, which the irony is, a lot of them are cheap tippers. That's where the stereotype came from. I'm sorry that breaks your heart to hear that, but that's the truth of it. How do you think stereotypes come about? It's because there is a large group of that particular population, or enough to create that stereotype becoming a part of society. And you're leaving that fact out. Now, I've worked tip jobs, whether it was waiting tables or delivering food, whatever. I've worked in the back of the house of restaurants as a line cook and chef. I've seen the food industry. I understand the stereotypes. I also understand that there is a grain of truth with them. And the way to end them is for people in those particular groups to go to those groups, the others in them, and get it to spread and say, look, stop being cheap fucking pricks. Because you make me look bad. Instead of shaming, what you're doing here, we'll see. Instead of shaming whites for this, because, oh, it's whites that created the stereotype. No. Tell those particular people of a particular ethnic background to stop others in the group from perpetuating the stereotype. It's that simple. Go to the people who actually perpetuate it. Duh. In 2015, the Washington Post examined tipping culture in the U.S. restaurant industry. Looking at a survey of 1,000 servers, 34% responded that they believed black diners to be very bad tippers in comparison to white diners, who 98% believed to be average or above average tippers. And while the article notes that some research shows black people in the U.S. tip slightly less than white people, it's not that simple. Well, here's the funny thing. They take only 1,000 servers. I love how you go back to 2015 for this. And you're using the Washington Post to try to dispel stereotypes. Yeah, well, it don't exactly work like that. Because there's usually a reason why a stereotype comes about, as I've already said. Oh, we'll get a little more depth here. In the first study where white servers believed black diners to be... Oh, so they were white servers that you're going after here. See? Oh, whites are the root of all evil. In the first study where white servers believed black diners were very bad tippers, over half of those who responded said they don't always give their best effort when waiting on black customers. Well, if you've been stiffed over and over and over, I'm not saying by every one of the in a particular ethnic background, but enough that you can sum up to an extent how the exchange is going to go and how your gratuity is going to be. Of course, because you learn those things, and yes, looks can be deceiving, but more often than not, they're not. But you go by your own personal experience. So you're like, well, why should I give my best? Because they're going to screw me. That's your fault? No. Not fully. Yeah, you should be giving your best. But it's also the fault for a particular ethnic group not calling out others in that particular ethnic group for being cheap fucking pricks. So don't be blaming the evil white people here, Sarah, you stupid bitch. You seriously are a stupid bitch. Oh, white evil. Oh, next it'll be fucking men. I wouldn't be surprised at the rate this is going. Meaning black diners could be getting inferior service simply because of racist servers. No, it's not about racism. Holy shit. So now we're going from stereotypes to racism. Stereotypes are not necessarily fucking racist, but you're going to make them racist or sexist or misogynist. Regardless. When black people and Spanish people come out and openly fucking say that other blacks and Spanish people are cheap fucks, are they racist? Because you seem to be ignoring that, because over my years of experience, I mean, I worked with a Spanish guy, great guy. We usually worked the same station together if it was a two-person station. And him and I used to listen to the waitresses bitch about getting stiffed on tips. And he knew them. I knew them. Knew they were cheap. I mean, hell, I dated a few of them. And you'd look at some of the Spanish waitresses and they'd be like shitting themselves when you'd be, tipping for the drinks you got for both of you or whatever. And they'd be like, well, because they're like, wow, it's throwing money away type thing to them. And this Spanish guy would call them out for their shit and be like, it's called karma, bitch. Fucking learn to tip. Quit feeding the stereotype. And they'd go off fucking crying because the truth is fucking painful at times. Okay? So, don't try to blame this on whites because blacks and Hispanics, I love how you picked out the whites. Because you know that the non-white fucking servers also said the same fucking thing, which defeats your whole fucking thing of racism. I got rid of tipping in my restaurant. I have to fight racism and unbelievable wages. A restaurant is not a... Oh, God. All right, that's another story of theirs, and that's kind of funny. When I first started dining at places that weren't fast food restaurants without my parents, I had just turned 15 and had my first ever job. I'm not sure exactly when I learned about the stereotype that people of color don't tip, but it was something that I was certainly aware of subconsciously. How are you aware of it subconsciously if you didn't know it? You didn't learn it. You didn't experience it. You didn't understand it. Not even your fucking subconscious mind would have a grasp of it. Because it's never been exposed to it, you stupid fuck. Sorry, you're an idiot. You're making this personal. The idea of being a member of the press is to report the facts. Okay, this is all feelings. This is why Vice is following suit with like CNN. Oh, well, they're going down fast. But like MSNBC and others like ABC, CBS. It's because you do this stupid shit of feelings over facts. Googling what was expected of a tip in Canada, it seemed like 15% was the standard at the time, with exceptional service getting up to 20%. Because I didn't want to seem like another cheap person of color. Reminder, I was 15 and cared a lot about how I was perceived. I would always try to tip as well as possible, even if the service was bad. Oh, God. Well, no. You're trying to put this on how you were perceived. And it being a matter of person of color and all that. I'm actually guessing your parents were cheap pricks. Come on, you can own up to it, Sarah. Because my father, cheap prick. Not a good tipper. So, I'm guessing your parents weren't a good tipper. And that's where you, quote-unquote, subconsciously picked it up. And you wanted to look better than them. Come on, you can admit it. Come on. I'm a decade older now. And while my feelings about tipping are complicated, I personally grew up my colleagues over at Vice Money who argue that tipping culture is oppressive. Well, I'm going to be doing actually another video on that article itself, and we'll get into it because it is complete socialist, leftist, fucking utopic bullshit. It really is. Alright, so you agree with them, yeah. I try my best to tip based on cultural norms of where I am, as well as what people deserve. Of course, as most people in North America know, tipping on its own is a fraught subject, especially for those who've been exploited by the service industry and empathize with underpaid wait staff. Workers of the food industry, unite. Throw down your chains of serving other people and getting paid for it, mind you. Holy fucking shit. But also because of stereotypes, North American tipping culture has another layer of complications. Not really. Really doesn't. You're just making it more complicated. Tatiana Zane, I'm butchering that last name, told me that as a black server in Houston, Texas, and also a black patron of restaurants, she's seen how it is on both sides. I wait tables in a predominantly white area. I've probably waited a handful of black tables. She noticed the same anxiety of trying to be a good patron when she serves people of color. They always make sure to be as easy as possible because they're not known to be. This means... Oh, God, you have a black woman pushing fucking propaganda. Oh, look at this. You got a black woman saying, oh, all black people aren't like that. Oh, no, no, no. She knows the stereotype is true. She just doesn't want to admit it because you idiots convince her, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, that's put out there by the evil white man. I'm not saying all of them are like hard to deal with or cheap, but the thing is, there are definitely those out there that are. There are those in the white community, white ethnic background, but there's more in the black ethnic background. That's why the stereotype is there, because it was created by that environment. Duh. This means ordering drinks and appetizers as well as over-tipping and writing kind notes. Oh, God. How many kind notes have you gotten? Maybe 2. Out of how many? I'm sure plenty of white people, if you're talking about kind notes, have done the same thing. Saying thank you for how well you were as a waitress. So don't even try to make it sound like this is a one-way street. Because you're talking about working in a nice restaurant. Nice restaurants, that's actually kind of a thing that's common, regardless of the person's ethnic background. So, yeah. Nice cherry picking and using bullshit observation here. Before working at her current restaurant, Zane also mentioned that if service got 3 black tables in a row, it was called a blackout, and service would receive food vouchers on top of their compensation. Well, the problem is there's a grain of truth to the stereotype, which is why the restaurant does that. So now you're trying to call the restaurant racist for trying to make sure that their wait staff is able to fucking eat. Holy fucking shit, Sarah. You are a fucking piece of shit. I mean, you're going by what she said here, calling it a blackout, put in quotes. I've worked in the restaurant industry, worked in it for years. I never heard it called a blackout. Could be a thing that was a term used at a particular restaurant she worked at by the staff, who I'm sure were black and white and other ethnicities, and even the blacks used the term. But you see, you're trying to make this sound like it's something that's unique to whites. You're fucking ridiculous. But you make it sound bad that if they get stiffed, the manager or owner trying to make sure they get fed is a bad thing. That's sad. That's pathetic. It was the manager saying, I'm sorry you had to deal with black people today. No. It was them saying, I'm sorry you got stiffed, and here's some food so you don't go fucking hungry. Might not have been politically correct, but if it's actually based on... if we can take what she say at face value, based on the fact of what she says, it's not exactly politically correct. But it is kind to make sure that the waitress isn't fucked and not eating that day. Or going without to do so. Because of her experiences as a server, she knows when she's out with her family, servers wish they hadn't picked up their table. Oh God, so now she's personalizing shit that she's even done. I'm sure she has. Because I don't buy her utopic bullshit thing that she's fucking saying. I'm not saying that it's the opposite of that, but I'm not saying that all these blacks are going there and just being so perfect. And because regardless of color of skin, you're not going to have 100% of particular ethnicity be fucking nice like she claims. It's impossible in reality, statistically, or any other which way. I've seen them roll their eyes. The ugh, fuck, when my family and I go out to eat. Like the black family she served. She also feels the need to overcompensate because of stereotypes. Oh, God. So you see this shit in your fucking head because waitstaff, they know that doing that is going to fuck them on tips. Doing that in front of you. So you're full of shit. If they did that in front of you, or any other black for that matter, I'm sure someone has complained. They'd lose their fucking job. So keep talking out your fucking ass there, missy. Keep pushing that fucking, oh, black fucking, we're suppressed bullshit. You live in fucking Canada, eh? Canada, eh? How are you fucking repressed, eh? That's where the fucking Underground Railroad ended. But yet you're so fucking oppressed. Zane isn't the only person of color and server I spoke with who felt the need to tip more out of guilt. How many did you talk to that tip like shit or lied and said that they don't tip like shit? I'm sure quite a few. Melissa Hung, a journalist who worked as a server for about 2 years, explained she always tips well. Well, it could be because she worked the fucking job. Oh my God, she knows what a server actually does. Oh no, that couldn't be why. It's got to be because, oh, I don't want to be considered cheap. Unless it's atrocious service, I feel such a sense of guilt, which might have to do with working in the service industry as well as a racial thing. No, it has to do with her working in the service industry. It has nothing to do with fucking race. But you got to push this racial thing. She's going to push this racial thing. So she's going to be like, well, because everything's racist, misogynist, and sexist, according to Anita. Yeah, race might be a factor as well. Bullshit. It's because you've worked in the industry. I try to tip well because I've worked in the industry. That's what someone who has a fucking conscience and understands what a day's work is like, especially in that field, does. You're fucking pathetic to try to throw the race thing in there knowing it's bullshit. As a server, because of the burden of representation people of color bear, she didn't want negative stereotypes to be true. Oh my God, the fucking logic of this. Just to show you how fucked up and circular logic this is, how virtue signaling this is, and how full of shit this fucking is, because I live in an area where you have a variety of ethnic backgrounds. I mean, we've got Indians, Pakistanis, blacks, whites, Hispanics, Asians. We got Benetton fucking colors bullshit going on here. But, yeah, you go look at waitstaff, a lot of white people. A lot of working class white people. Honest to God's truth around here. Yes, there are Hispanics, but there are some blacks. But it's mostly hardworking whites trying to support a family. Single parents. Shit like that. yeah, just to say this is so fucked up. I mean, look, just to show how fucked this up, as I said, let's get back to this. Change that with gangbanger. As a gangbanger, because of the burden of representation of people of color bear, she didn't want negative stereotypes to be true. Works. But you don't see gangbangers saying that. Because they know the negative stereotypes are true. They've owned up to that fact. They're fucking proud of some of those negative stereotypes. So, if you accept a negative stereotype, that it's there, you go to the group that has created this stereotype, and you say, look, like I've already said, you'd say to them, look, cut the fucking shit, stop being cheap pricks, you make all of us look bad. Oh, wait, that's right. Not all Hispanics, not all blacks, but it's all whites. Yeah, you don't want responsibility for your ethnic background, but you want us to take responsibility for all of ours. And that's the only way. If you start talking to them and saying, stop being cheap pricks, the stereotype's going to end. It's the only way. But if a white says it to them, oh, they're fucking racist. That's why I love that Hispanic guy that I worked with. Because he got away with so much shit like that. Because he could. Calling the fucking waitresses out for being cheap and then getting pissed because they got stiffed. And he'd be like, let me guess, Spanish people? Or let me guess, blacks? And yeah, and he'd be like, well, I'm Puerto Rican. I'm part black, I'm part Spanish, so I can call them out on both sides. Fuck all you all. He'd be like, I probably got some white in me too, so I can go after you crackers too. And he called all the shit the way it was and he could get away with it. But if a white person like myself doesn't watch, I'm going to have people, if this gets, seen by leftists, go, you're a racist. Well, fuck you. Working at a family restaurant chain in California, she didn't find any truth in the stereotypes. Really? Well, were you working in the fucking hood? Where were you working? Were you working in fucking San Fran? In like Silicon Valley, Silicon Valley's little playground and like bedroom community? Where the fuck were you working? Because that can all put things into fucking context. I don't recall feeling like there was an emerging pattern for me in my experience. Okay. Well, you're an exception to the rule, maybe? After putting out a call for people of color to share their feelings towards tipping, nearly everyone I spoke to for this article messaged me saying almost the same thing. They have over-tipped or... Ha! Bullshit! Nearly everyone you spoke to. How many people did you speak to? 2 people? Because you're trying to make it sound like it's a lot of people, but I'm guessing where it seems like you have a limited capacity, it's less than what you can count on both hands. I'm guessing 1 hand. I'm guessing not even 5 people. I feel it mandatory to tip so as not to be looked down on or create a negative stereotype of South Asians in North America, John Han, 25-year-old from Toronto, told me. Oh. Okay, so now we bring in the Asians. Oh, shit. This is fucking funny. And then we got another one of their articles here. Restaurant tipping is stupid. But it's probably here to stay. Yada, yada, yada. Which is probably, I think it's older than the one that I'm going to do this article links to earlier. I love how, watch with what's said here. I love how the left, they have this thing of, they're like, I'm so in tune with things around me. Because, watch, on a personal level, I've been hyper aware of how my identity mixes into how I might act in a situation that lends itself to stereotypes. From trying not to talk too loudly in public because black people are loud, to making sure I don't smell like food anytime I leave the house. Oh my God. Who thinks fucking black people smell like food, you stupid bitch? Maybe you smelling like food, people are looking at you and thinking, oh, it's a black fucking thing? They're thinking it's because you fucking reek of it because you fucking are working around it? Holy shit, bitch! Use your fucking head. It has nothing to do with the stereotype of black people smell like food. Because I've never heard of that one. Not ever once in my life. And I think I've been on the planet longer than you. Especially when you say stupid shit like that. Oh, but I could be wrong. But this is Vice, so it's Millennial Central. And when Chris Rock brings up a stereotype because he's experienced it firsthand of blacks being loud like in a movie theater, yeah, talk to the other blacks that are doing that shit and say, stop it. Don't blame whites because they've experienced the stereotype. You get rid of the person creating the stereotype. Don't go after the people who know the stereotype and talk about it or have experienced it. It's not their fucking fault. It's exhausting to have to police myself in order to seem palatable to white people and be seen as worthy of being treated well. Excuse me. But white people in general, you stupid bitch, aren't like you fucking morons. Okay, white people in general, they actually understood what Martin Luther King said and tend to look at people the way that he wanted them to be looked at, by the content of their character, not by the color of their skin. You, on the other hand, you're fixated on skin color. Why is it that whites, when we're supposedly all racists, don't give a shit about it, skin color, and you fuckers do? So much so that you're so stupid that you don't realize that person of color is no different than colored person. A term that white cracker racist fucking Democrats in the South of the United States basically coined to be like, oh yeah, we're going to call those Negroes something real bad, and they ain't even going to know it because they're too fucking stupid. That goes to show how fucked in the head you morons are, that you don't get that shit. For me, I don't think it matters anymore. Okay, if it doesn't matter, then why are you fucking saying that it does? You just said it did. Now you can say, oh, well, it doesn't matter to me. Of course it fucking matters to you. Because you've made it part of your identity. Because, oh, I'm black, so let's get... No, you're a fucking person. Be who you are as an individual. Fuck this grouping shit by color and other shit like that. If the aforementioned survey is any indication, white servers will likely still profile me and discriminate, intentionally or not, regardless of what I tip. Oh my God. It's 1,000 servers. I want to know what the blacks and the Hispanics and the Asian servers said, because I'm sure they probably said similar things, being it's a stereotype and it's not a white fucking thing. And you're making it about a white fucking thing here. Because you know what? Black servers think the same fucking thing. Hispanic fucking servers think the same fucking thing. Why? Because the stereotype has been perpetuated by individuals in the specific ethnic group. And they continue to do it. And they bring new people like their children to continue that. Because they raise those kids to do the same, their children to do the same thing. You want the stereotype to stop? Get rid of the people creating the stereotype. It's that simple. Don't blame white people because you've got people creating that stereotype. As one person I spoke with mentioned, the burden of representation is heavy, and it sucks. But I'm not going to let it get in the way of my enjoyment of a delicious bowl of pasta. Bullshit! That's all you've fucking done. That's all you talk about. So you're fucking deluded. So are you a liar? Because are you saying that it doesn't bother you? After saying all that shit and saying how bad it is and everything else and how you're going to be judged, you're not going to, you now at the very end say it isn't going to bother you. So You're obviously a fucking liar. Did you lie about the fact that it bothers you, or the fact that you're not going to let it bother you? Because one's the truth, one's a lie. Which is it? Why don't you own up on that? I mean, this is fucking ridiculous. I mean, Sarah, you're pathetic. You really are. I don't know how the hell you... Well, looking at it being Vice, that could explain why you managed to get a job writing this shit. But anyways, this just goes to show how bad and desperate it is for Vice these days on doing virtue signaling and everything else when they got to resort to this bullshit. Anyways, this is the Constitutionalist Libertarian. If you like the video, hit the thumbs up, please. And if you want to see more of my content, definitely subscribe. All of you have a good one. Thank you.